Are you tired of feeling stuck? Constantly distracted by your phone, binge watching shows instead of doing the things that you know really matter? Well, if that sounds like you, then you're in the right place. Today, we're diving into the full actionable protocol for a real dopamine detox. And I'm not talking about a temporary challenge, but a system for real, lasting change. Right, let's just reframe this from the get-go. See, a lot of people treat a dopamine detox like it's a 24-hour challenge. A quick fix to reset their brain. But that's what we call a challenge mindset. And honestly, it's why most of these things fail. The real shift, the one that sticks, happens when you move from seeing this as a temporary fix to a long-term strategy. It's the difference between saying, I survived it, and I control it. So here's our roadmap. It's broken down into 4 key phases. First step is preparation, where we lay the entire foundation. Second is execution, that's where we put in the daily work. Third, we have restoration, where we intentionally rebuild our relationship with all these activities. And finally, we'll talk about the ultimate goal of all of this, which is becoming what's known as anti-fragile. Okay, let's get right into it with step 1, the preparation. Seriously, do not skip this part. It is the foundation for everything else, and it all starts with defining your personal why. I want you to ask yourself this question, and you have to be brutally honest with yourself. What will actually happen if you don't change? Really visualize that future, the cost of doing nothing, because that is the fuel you're going to need. This protocol absolutely works, but only if you connect it to a deep, personal reason for even starting. Next up, we make the cuts. There are 4 non-negotiable categories that you have to eliminate completely for this to work. First one is binge tech, social media, endless TV, video games. Just delete the apps for now. Second is unhealthy sex, which includes porn and just mindlessly swiping on dating apps. Third, consumables. Think alcohol, recreational drugs, and all that junk food. And finally, thrill-seeking behaviors like gambling or compulsive shopping sprees. So why are these things so ridiculously addictive? Well, it all comes down to this powerful psychological hook called variable rewards. When the reward is uncertain, is there a new notification? Did I get a match? Our brain's craving just gets amplified. It's that unpredictability that keeps us completely hooked. So you're cutting all of these things out. But for how long? Why is a minimum of 7 days so important? Well, the answer actually lies in our brain's biology. The thing is, our brains are in this constant state of overstimulation. And the more we consume, weirdly enough, the less we actually enjoy it. This is because of a defense mechanism called dopamine desensitization. To protect itself from just way too much dopamine, the brain literally turns down its own sensitivity. It basically becomes numb. Dr. K from Healthy Gamer has this perfect analogy for this. Think of all that constant stimulation as a phone with its volume cranked all the way to max. Now, to protect the speakers, which are our brain's receptors, the brain has no choice but to turn its own internal volume way down. A 7-day detox gives it the quiet time it needs to finally reset that volume back to normal. All right, let's move on to step 2, the execution. So now that we've set the rules and we've quieted all that noise, it's time to actively recondition our brain with some healthier alternatives. Okay, a quick heads up, this part is probably going to feel uncomfortable. You might feel a little anxious, maybe even lonely, but the one emotion you are absolutely guaranteed to face is boredom. And your immediate instinct is going to be to grab your phone to escape it. You have to fight that urge. The whole goal is to just sit with that feeling, to learn to tolerate it. That's where the real brain rebalancing actually begins. But you're not just going to be sitting there doing nothing. To actively recondition your brain, you're going to incorporate 3 daily practices, and there are no exceptions on these. They are self-reflection, exercise, and connection. And here's what that actually looks like. It's super simple. Self-reflection is just 10 minutes. You can meditate, you can journal. Exercise is 30 minutes of moving your body, a walk, yoga, anything works. And connect, well, that just means having a real conversation with another person. These simple acts start building healthier, more sustainable dopamine pathways in your brain. And that brings us to step 3, the restoration. After the detox, the goal isn't to just go right back to your old life. No, it's about reintroducing things with deliberate intention. And let's be really clear about the objective here. This is not about creating a permanent list of forbidden activities. I mean, think about it. If you need a strict rule to never use social media again, who's really in control? The whole point is to get your mind to a place where you are the one making the choice, not your impulses. This leads us to this really powerful concept called anti-fragility. It's the idea that after a shock or a stress like this detox, you don't just bounce back to where you were before. You actually become stronger. You literally level up. This slide breaks it down perfectly. So something fragile, like a Shih Tzu, well, it breaks under stress. Something resilient, like an elephant, it bounces back to its original state. But something anti-fragile, like the mythical Hydra, actually gets stronger from the stress. You cut off one head, and more grow back. This whole detox is designed to make you the Hydra. So how do you actually build this anti-fragility? Well, it's all about being intentional. Before you reintroduce anything, you have to ask yourself, does this align with the person I want to be? Does this habit actually serve my values? If the answer is no, you consciously choose to leave it behind. That very act of choosing is what builds your strength. And this brings us to the ultimate goal, the very reason we go through this entire process. It's to become anti-fragile, to move beyond just resisting distraction and towards actively designing a life of real purpose and focus. You become the curator of your own life. You gain the clarity to pick and choose what serves you, the parts of technology and modern life that add genuine value, and you confidently discard the rest. You learn that more consumption doesn't equal more happiness. Most of the time, it just equals more noise. Look, this whole process gives you a clean slate, a genuine reset button for your habits and for your focus. It completely disrupts the status quo. So the only question left is the one that you have to answer for yourself. Now that you have control, what kind of person will you choose to be?